Coach's Corner, Thursday evening. Welcome in if you're on Twitter, if you're on Facebook, and if you're on YouTube. Welcome aboard. This is our regular Coach's Corner feature on Thursday evenings, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We talk to the coaches all across the country at all levels and divisions of college baseball. And tonight I am joined by a fellow catcher, a lifelong, seemingly lifelong New Englander for as far as a player and a coach for a period of time, and now finds himself out in the Windy City. So, Jim Foster, welcome aboard. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me on, Walter. Appreciate
You're very, very welcome. Now, Jim was the head coach at URI, then spent a little time at Boston College as an assistant coach, then over to the Military Academy, West Point, where he built up a tremendous program that was a regional participant, I believe, the last 3 years, 2 years,
4, yeah.
4 years with COVID, and now finds himself as the head coach of Northwestern University. And I am so thankful that you gave us a little bit of time so that we could share with some folks a little insight about Northwestern and what's going on in the Windy City.
Yeah, it's nice to talk some baseball. Everybody's busy this time of year, but it's great to get on and catch up with you.
Well, I want to let parents that kind of find their way to the videos over the course of time are always curious about how an athlete makes a transition into coaching. And so I want to ask you, as a Hendricken guy, and for those that aren't familiar, Bishop Hendricken is probably one of the preeminent big high school baseball programs in the state of Rhode Island, if not New England. And so, Jim, talk a little bit, if you can, about making that transition from being a player and then ultimately leading into the college ranks as a coach and a head coach.
Sure. So I got done playing in 2002. I remember the Red Sox calling me and saying, we're going to bring you, Marcus Jensen, and Doug Mirabelli up to Pawtucket, and we got to find someone to catch this knuckleballer, Tim Wakefield. And that's when I was 32. I had 2 kids. I've been playing for a while. You could just feel the window closing, and that's when I shut it down right after that. And I said, what am I going to do? Usually the professional athlete right after that, you're like, I need to take a step away and figure out what I'm going to do and hopefully make a little money, because we haven't been making much up to this point. So, I was doing some different things, some odd jobs. My dad had a business and working for some buddies, and it just wasn't doing it for me. So I got through that winter, and I went to saw a friend of mine at Brown University, Merrick Jabinski, another catcher, who gave me a job at Brown University. So I was there for a season, then went over to URI, and just been very fortunate, to stay in it as long as I have, and just coach some of the kids I have. And I mean, me, Walter, baseball is sacred to me. It's given me everything. It's something that, my wife, my kids, my family, my friends, it's just what I love doing. So I'm very fortunate to still be doing it.
Well, I think the big thing that the takeaway from that, when I'm talking with parents, and I know it's this way with you, the competitive juices, as far as being a baseball player, they just don't leave you. And for those that have the ability to get into coaching, not glamorous at the early stages, but obviously somebody that has worked hard throughout the last 15 to 17 years, such as yourself. I mean, you really built a URI program. You helped Mike over at BC, took over, West Point program, made them a Patriot League staple, and now hope to do the same at Northwestern. And so, I want parents to understand, give us an idea as to the caliber of student athlete that you're looking for, that you feel is the right fit for Northwestern.
Sure. Well, since we got here in July, I've been just sitting back and, getting to know everybody and get to know the new system, the new school, and try and implement our culture and some of the things we want to do. Definitely want to raise the competitiveness of the program. It's changed a lot since URI back in 2005, but we want to find competitive players, guys who love it. Like I was just talking about, that's probably my number one requirement. You got to love baseball. And when I say love it, I mean love it. Want to work at it, and when nobody's watching, and be able to go through the failures and the bumps in the road. One thing I learned at West Point is you're going to get knocked down, and you got to get up, and you got to keep going. And that's the number one. Those are the top three, I would say, for me. It has nothing to do with tools. You got to be a good player. You got to be able to, show certain things. But for me, it's just getting the right guys and the right families and involved. And then it's fun for everybody. It's honest. It's like you truly care about each other. You can go out there and just do your thing every day. You're going to learn something. I'm giving you everything I got, and they're giving everything they got to the team. So that's what I'm trying to make it as pure as it can be.
So I know it's been brief, and you're really just gearing up to get started here in the next few weeks. But what do you think makes Northwestern such a special opportunity for a prospective student athlete besides the major metropolitan city? What is it about the university and now with your staff there that would make it a special place?
I've been fortunate to be at some really good academic institutions, and this is probably the best one. I mentioned Brown, I mentioned Army West Point, but as far as straight academics go, it just sets you up for your future. So you check that box. So you get a degree from Northwestern, and you're going to do pretty well in life. And it's nice to be able to do that for people, to meet people where that's really going to make a difference, and like good people, good families, and they're just gonna run with it. So I love being able to do that. It's a little more expensive than West Point, so that's a big change. But we're trying to the financial aid is really good, and we're fully funded pretty much. So we do the best we can there. But the facilities are gorgeous. We've had some great donors step up. And I'm walking into a situation where you really don't need much. I'm going to bring myself to the program, and adjust to what's really jumped out to me, Walter, more than anything since I've been here, is the people. Like, there's some really good people here that want to help. I've been at some places, and those coaches out there know what I'm talking about. You can't always get everybody on the same page, and you end up doing a lot of the stuff yourself and doing the best you can. But here, there's a lot of great people, and they do their jobs really well, and they care. And any coach will tell you that's half the battle right there. So if I could do my thing and recruit a couple years, bring in some strong classes and some really strong, families to the program, we're going to do fine.
So I want to stay on that topic for a moment with regard to recruiting. I want to let parents know, this is the opportunity to send questions in. If you see me put my granny glasses on for my readers, I'll go ahead and look at the screen and look at my phone. I know there's a few questions that come in. I'm going to get to those in a second. But Jimmy, I want to ask you a little bit about recruiting with regard to where do you head, or where do you foresee your staff? You're in a Midwest kind of area now. Will you still be going out to Georgia? Will you go more West Coast? Where do you think most of your where's your time going to be spent with regard to recruiting?
I still have my, my bread and butter, which are all the relationships over the years, guys I played with and guys I've gotten to know over the years, where if they call, you're definitely going to follow up no matter where they are. But I think we'll be in California more, with USC and UCLA coming in next year in 24. I could see that happening. Texas has always been really good to me. So we're going to continue that. Northwestern hasn't had a ton of Texas, but I could see that. I think a little more Southeast. It'll be coast to coast. Obviously got the New England contacts, so I'll know about the New England kids. And, I think it's going to be coast to coast, a lot like Army, and we'll be going everywhere.
Well, I definitely know Tyler told me to tell you that if you look at anybody in Houston, he's happy to go take a look. He's got a new facility down there. He's working guys out. And
Oh,
I guess he
great.
started cutting. His father-in-law is a former 35 or 38-year high school coach at Huffman High School, so he'll be able to send you some guys. So I want to ask you about your camps, Northwestern. Are you going to increase the amount of camps? Are you going to have them during the summer, fall? What are your time parameters with regards to your camps?
So we have I just hired a volunteer about 2 months ago. His name's Adrian Santiago. He's doing a great job. So we're getting camps up and running. We did our prospect camps and we did our mini clinics in the fall, which were great. We signed some guys out of that, and we always appreciate guys coming on campus. It goes a long way with us when they can come to a camp or a clinic, and those were successful. And now we have our winter camps and clinics, which we have our youth. We have our youth clinic coming up after Christmas, before the New Year's. That's for the younger kids. But then we have 2 really good prospect camps coming up in January, towards the end of January. And it's back-to-back weekends, Saturday, Sunday. And it's filling up quick, and there's some good players. So excited about that. And then in the summer, it'll be full go in the summer, and people can just check out our website. And I think it's going to do really well with camps and clinics. And half the battle is getting them here. Once they get here and they see the setup we have and the facilities, and Chicago, the city of Chicago, Chicagoland's such a great area. So I think it'd be great and work well together with what we're trying to do.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful city. Absolutely gorgeous city. A little chilly in the wintertime, but we're used to that here being in New England. But on that note, I want to let all parents know, I just had a father just send me a message. In the video, in the description, I'm going to have all of Coach Foster's contact information, social media. I'll try to put some camp dates in there for you, so at least you'll have some information. But I'll make sure all of that is in the description. Want to make sure that if you have a question, go ahead and send it along. Anything to do with, with regard to wanting to contact Coach Foster, I will make sure it is available in the description. I see about 3 or 4 questions that came in. I just want to make sure I emphasize that. Jim, if you could kind of digress real quickly, you couldn't be active or as active, at West Point. Do you anticipate the portal or anything along those lines being a way for you to kind of help build the program a little faster, or are you going to try to build it from with the underclassmen and the incoming high school seniors?
Well, we had a few guys leave before I got the job, in July. So I had to fill those. And it was nice, Walter. It was nice. It was a lot of action. And I like that. There's a lot of interest, a lot of action. So we brought 8 or 9 guys in here from, transfers, the portal. I thought we did a good job with the time we had. And I think we've been building up the base of the program, the foundation, which will be the traditional, freshman, sophomore, junior. But we're definitely gonna use the portal. It'd definitely be 3 or 4, 5 maybe every year. We have a really good grad program here. Kids can get a certificate, and it's a reduced class load. It's a really good program. So I think that's gonna be our niche, using that certificate program for grad school. We got some guys in that. So when people hear about that, they get excited. And, we got some great programs here. You can put Northwestern on your resume, which isn't a bad thing.
I mean, it's tremendous academic, acumen. You're going to be getting not only a tremendous experience with regard to the university, the city, the athletics. I mean, they play in a tremendous conference. And as you just alluded to, a lot of parents, and I want to go back to this because I don't think parents really understood when you said USC and UCLA, that might have gone under the radar a little bit, but they've been a lifelong participant in the Pac-10, now Pac-12. How do you think that's going to shake out with regard to the travel and, your recruiting? Because now it kind of does give you a coast to coast kind of recruiting opportunity because you're going to be in everybody's backyard.
Yeah, I think it'll help legitimize the conference. You bring those programs in, such tremendous history and coaches. We played in UCLA. We played UCLA at Texas Tech a few years ago when I was at Army. So it was great to meet Coach Savage. And, Andy, I've known, a few years from pro ball, and he's at USC now in Grand Canyon. So they're going to be great adds to the program. I think it'll help get our conference boosted nationally. I think our conference should be at least a 4 or 5 bid league. This year was 2, should have been 3 with Rutgers not getting in, but I think it should be 5, 6, hopefully 7 or 8, kind of like the ACC,
Right.
SEC. Pretty soon, that's the way I look at it as a coach. We should be 6, 7, 8 deep every year, and I think bringing those teams in will help legitimize in the eyes of the country. Just getting rules like the instant replay. We still don't have that. We got to get that put in. There's some easy things we can do to just raise the optics for the league. So I think it's going to be SEC and Big Ten in a couple of years. I think both those conferences are going to be way up there.
Now, any idea or thoughts or feelings, opinions as it relates to the potential of the super conferences, of which you would be included? Obviously, if you're talking about some of the perennial football powerhouses and juggernauts and Pat Fitzgerald, Northwestern. I mean, you're talking about some big changes probably on the horizon in that 2025, 2026. Do you see that happening, or do you still have a lot of land to go before that even gets considered?
I mean, when I took the job, I didn't really think of it too much. I just saw a great school and a great opportunity to make it better, because it's been underachieving for years. And but after getting the job, really stepping back and seeing that UCLA and USC is going to come in, and I do think the college landscape is going to change in a couple of years. I think you're going to have some quote unquote power conferences, and you're gonna have conferences that are all in, and then you're gonna have conferences that really can't make the investment, maybe with more scholarships or more coaches or whatever it is that you got to do to be in this Power 5 conference. So I do think it's going to change in the next couple of years. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. That's above my head, but I think it's going to be interesting.
What I'd like to do, because you're one of us, typically every time I'm talking to college coaches, we're talking warm weather kids, Florida, Texas, California. I really want to give some love to the cold weather Midwest, Northeast student athlete. I have a parent that sent me a question. How do these cold weather state student athletes compete, to get in front of the college coaches? And you lived it. You lived it as an athlete. I lived it as an athlete, but I'd rather them hear it from a Division I head coach. These cold weather student athletes, they don't have to panic. They just have to get after it in the weight room, prepare themselves. We play in March and April when it's 30, 40 degrees, little different mindset. But you have a soft spot in your heart, I would imagine, for those types of individuals and student athletes from the cold weather states. Would you not?
I do. I definitely do. I have a son who's 15 right now going through it. And like I said to him today, do you go in the weight room? Control what you can control. So he goes in the weight room. He does his catching drills, whether they're inside or outside. You just keep moving. We're late bloomers. We all are, because we don't get as much baseball. But that can be a really good thing too. You're going to be more developed physically. You're going to be a little more well-rounded because maybe you play basketball, hockey in the winter. You might play some other sports, which all coaches like. So it's just one of those things. It really is a positive. You take a break. You can set your goals for the winter. You can really kind of reset and get ready for your next spring and summer. I think. When I was at Bishop Hendricken, and we won 3 state championships, and that's what it was all about. And my son's moving he would have probably been going to Hendricken to Loyola Academy out here, and which is another school like Hendricken, and nothing's different. You're going to meet new teammates.
Right.
They're all great guys. It's like getting traded. You think it's going to be a whole different world, but they're the same as you. They all love baseball. They all want to get better. So the difference between the North and the South is, or warm weather and cold weather, is just if you're putting your work in, it's going to be noticed. There's so many facilities now. There's so many gorgeous places you can go work out. And it's not like when we were kids, Walter, we have to find a gym at the high school and, share it with a whole bunch of other teams. And, now it's very convenient to go work out and get better. So I wouldn't think of it like it's a disadvantage, because we as coaches don't look at it that way. We look at it like, everybody's a ball player. It's, if we like your skills and what you're doing out on the field and how you're going about your business, and we have you on campus for a visit, we just want to get to know you and meet your family and see if it's a good. It's nothing to get. Like I have college buddies who are my age. They have kids in college now. A couple of them called me today, and they think they're missing stuff, and they're not. Just get in the weight room. Get your ground balls, get your receiving in, and get ready to send some video out to some coaches. Get ready to send them your academic information. Send us, nothing too fancy, just the basics, and maybe come to our camp or clinic, and that'll go a long way. And then we can follow you in the summer and just build on it. So I would just keep the faith, everybody out there. You're not falling behind. Just make sure you're getting your work in every day.
Well, I think that's you nailed that. I mean, from my perspective. And oh, by the way, there's nothing like taking fungos as a catcher on the hardwood of the basketball court from your coach, who gets a little enthusiastic. You're doing them off the thighs. So on that note, and kind of a follow-up to that, multiple sports. In New England, we play hockey, we play basketball. That's our winter. And a lot of kids now are training all year. They're lessons, baseball, pitching all year, playing tournaments. Martin Luther King weekend, they're out in Arizona. They're school vacation February, they're down in Florida. There is a fine line between too much baseball and, being athletic, maintaining that kind of that versatility as an athlete. Can you just share with parents your thoughts on the multiple sport dynamic as far as a high school student athlete is concerned?
Yeah, sure. You could see it by the end of the summer. Guys are dragging, you all, the guys who just got done playing a long major league season or minor league season, everyone needs that time to reset, kind of get your mind where you want it to be, focus on, some goals that you want, ways you're going to improve in the off season, and just getting away from it for a little bit and enjoying high school, enjoying your friends. That's the best way I can put it, is just, go out there and just compete in whatever you do. That's what we want to see, is the guys who, can make adjustments, when it doesn't go their way. They're playing for the love of the game. You're playing for the guy next to you. You're actually playing to win and not just show us you can hit a number on a gun or an exit velo or a launch angle. That's what we talk about behind the backstop. We just, those old Legion days, where you could go to a Legion tournament like the New Englands and see, Nova Seafood out of Maine, and they got 4 big leaguers on the team, and they all played 3 or 4 sports. They didn't play just baseball. So you remember those kids, Walter?
Oh, man.
Back on that team.
I remember Connecticut, going down to Connecticut, and just, do you remember Mike DeAndrea? You must know Mike.
Oh, yeah, we played against him. We're good friends, yeah.
Right. So Mike would show up with guys from now his Lightning program, but back then I think it was either Portland or Daring, New Hampshire, Daring, Maine. Anyway, I'd look around and there's Reed Ryan and all these guys that ended up being big leaguers. I'm like, where are you hiding these guys? He's like, nobody comes up here to recruit except for Wink and, Eddie. And I'm like, geez, I got to come up here more often. But that's what I try to tell parents, in these states that you don't equate, Billy Swift, we could rattle names off that parents in today's world probably wouldn't remember. But the point is that baseball is not state specific. It starts here, and it's a mindset of understanding the ebb and the flow and the ups and the downs. And, and on that note, I had a parent just ask me, as a parent of a catcher, can't get his 16-year-old son to catch bullpens. So I don't want to ask you about high school bullpens. As a catcher in college, Can you just kind of give an idea of how many bullpens you're going to be catching throughout the course of the fall and into the spring? You're going to catch a lot of bullpens, right?
Oh, a ton of bullpens. You're like, I got here to Northwestern and they have a student manager catching bullpens. I said, no, not. I said, not anymore. You know, the poor kid's catching 5, 6 bullpens, and you need 2 student. I see some college programs, you need 2 student managers to catch. The catchers catch the bullpens. You know, you should be 3 or 4 deep, and you know, guys need to catch. But you know, it's just as valuable to you as it is for them. You know, you need to go into each bullpen with a plan, like you're going to work on your footwork. You know, every off-speed pitch I'm going to block. I'm not going to drop a ball. You know, you have to compete with yourself internally, because sometimes you got to catch a ball and then the pitching coach is going to talk to the pitcher, and you know, you have to always be thinking, all right, how am I going to use this pitch? You know, and then when the pitch is thrown, you're sitting there as a catcher thinking, all right, how are we going to use this pitch to get someone out? You know, like, we're going to be playing games, and you know, we got to use this arsenal to try and get some guys out. So is it a competitive pitch? Is it something that started in the right place? Did it finish in the right place? You know, there's a lot of details. So you know, you got to want to jump back there and catch bullpens. That's like, you know, you don't just start off being the foreman. You got to dig ditches. You know, like you got to dig ditches before you become the foreman, and then you get to tell everyone when lunchtime is. You know, you, as a catcher, the only way you're going to gain the respect of your pitching staff is to show them that you're going to work for them. And once you show them that you're all in and you're going to give it everything you got every pitch, now they believe in you.
And I cannot emphasize that enough. It's not just the simple act of catching a bullpen. It is actually learning your pitching staff on what they feel comfortable and confident with and where they're not confident. And it's your job to be able to tell them, especially in bullpens leading into the season, look, we got to throw that. We got to have confidence and conviction in this pitch. You throw it, I'll take care of the rest. But you just got to trust what I'm putting down. And it starts in bullpens. I'm so glad we have a coach that was a catcher. I know Mac at UVA tells great stories, but that was awesome. So I want to ask you a couple more questions. One of them that just came in. You're a high school senior, and you're what they call a late bloomer. How are they getting on your radar at Northwestern? You know, somebody that might be you know, is a 2023 and they're like, I really want to go to Northwestern. How are they going to get your attention and how are you going to see them play this spring?
Well, at the end of the year, you know, you evaluate everything as a new coach. And I mean, Northwestern's a program. We have 35 kids. It's not like we bring in 50, 55 and get down to 35. We have our 35. So it's not like, you know, I'm cutting a whole bunch of kids and bringing in a whole bunch of new kids. It's going to take me a little while longer here, but and when we do pull the trigger on a kid, when we do say let's go, you know, and offer him a scholarship, we gotta be right, because so it might take a little longer here. The guys on the team are doing a great job. There's been no one that's quit or done anything like that. You know, they're all in and, you know, having a good time and all that. But you got to see how the season plays out. You know, it's a lot different practicing and playing, and it's going to be a very difficult schedule. We play a very competitive schedule. You see how college baseball and college sports is now. Northwestern isn't really one of those schools that guys leave a lot. You know, they tend to stay here because it's such a great academic school, and hopefully they'll love the baseball program and, you know, and start winning, because winning's fun and losing isn't. And, you know, we hope. We got a long way to go, but we got to build it up. But for that kid, you know, you got the draft that's late. You know, coaches are going to be looking at that. I've always looked at junior college as a big positive, like someone who didn't get their way and they had to, you know, take another year, maybe to do a post-grad year. We've talked about that before, Walter. You know, some of these New England, you know, like in Avon Old Farms or Westminster or Loomis Chaffee or Phillips Andover, you know, there's some great options there to just like step back and say, all right, I'm going to use this for my academics. I'm going to get better in the classroom. I'm going to get stronger. And then when I do find a home, I'm going to walk in and play. I'm not going to sit or get 10 at bats. Like, I'm going to be ready to go. So I would stay up about it, because you could go to a school and you're not ready. Next thing you know, you got to transfer, or you waste a year of eligibility for 10, 20 at bats or 7 or 8 innings, So I would really take your time and find the right fit.
So you and I know post-grad much differently. In today's world, when I say post-grad, it takes on a whole different connotation. It takes on a baseball academy kind of thought process. I just want you to kind of hit on that again, as far as, at least in the New England or Northeast, postgraduate is a very viable academic and athletic environment. It's not, all baseball all the time. There is a strong academic component to that, especially with the schools you just alluded to. Can you just touch on that a little bit, especially from the West Point and now with Northwestern, with regard to the strength of coming from a postgraduate school that has both academic stature as well as athletic stature?
Sure. Yeah. When you're going to a high academic university, college, and like, I know coming out of high school, I didn't have my routine down. I didn't know, and my first year in college, I probably didn't start playing every day till the last couple weekends, and I'd love to go back in time and just be ready to go, from day one. I needed to get stronger. I needed to get my arm stronger, my body stronger. I need to fix my swing, but more importantly, just mature and clean up my academics. So these schools are great schools. When I was at West Point, we used them every year. Boston College, we used them. Here, we're definitely going to use them. It's a great way to do an extra year of high school, and just like I said, just be 100% more comfortable with playing college baseball at the highest level, because it's a big jump. And I think these schools do a great job. A lot of those guys are friends of mine. I've known them for years. They're high character guys. They're it's not just baseball. It's you're meeting a lot of different people. It's very diverse. It's a lot like college, and you got to live on your own. You got to do your schoolwork, do your laundry. It's a great year to just grow up and mature. And like, I've mentioned it to some people in the Midwest and some people down south, and they kind of look at me funny, but then I got to explain it, and kind of doing what we're doing now. But
that's why I wanted you to do it, because I do it.
Yeah.
They look at me like I want to send their son to the penitentiary.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to tell them this isn't for bad guys. This is a great honor. Especially Salisbury, Loomis Chaffee, Avon Old Farms, Timmy up at Exeter, Chris now at Andover, KG is with the Cubs, big leaguing people. So, I mean, the biggest thing is post-grad, it's really, there's a tale of two cities here. You have the academies that are more heavy baseball, light academic, and then you have the real old school, couple century old post-grad schools throughout the Northeast, presidents. This is a global type of opportunity. And I want to end on this question, because you just touched on it. When you came out of high school and you went into college, and it took you a while, and you mentioned routine, I just want you to go back and say, all the freshmen you've coached over the last, say, 15, 17 years, talk about that transition from coming in as a high school senior in that freshman fall, how challenging it really is. And don't pull any punches. Let these student athletes know you have to be ready before your feet hit campus. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's unbelievable how big a jump it is, really. Every kid I commit, every kid I talk to or wants to hear about it, I tell them about the weight room, and just, no matter how much you lift, no matter how much you think you're doing it the right way, it just takes time. And, some guys mature quicker than others. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And like, you cannot think, like, I have recruits telling me, I'll be ready, coach. I'll be ready. No, you won't. And that's okay.
Right.
Like, I can count on one hand freshmen, that have come in and like gotten it done from day one. There's always somewhere that you need help. And some kids have always been the best, they've never failed at anything. And that's the toughest kid, because when he fails, he doesn't want to ask for help. He can't handle it as well as others that have failed and kind of been knocked down and had to fight their way back. And, families, let's face it, some of the families that we deal with, they're well off and they've always had money. They've always been the best. And when you're not the best anymore, I used to love watching those kids come into spring training. I'd watch those first, they'd roll right past me and I couldn't wait to see them on the field the next day, because you got to grow up, whether it's high school to pro ball or high school to college or whatever level it is. You can't just show up and know all the answers to the test. It takes time. You got to be humble. There's certain lessons that got to be taught socially, academically, athletically. It's just a journey. And those kids that can just remain calm and not get too up or too down. And the generals at West Point used to tell me this, Jimmy, you got to have a good sense of humor because everybody's playing the game and everybody, wants to. It's a highly competitive atmosphere around here, but you can't get too up. You can't get too down. And a lot of kids nowadays, if they're not ready or they're not the guy, they think there's something wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what we're here for. That's why you have your show. That's why I have my job, so we can help them. So doing one of these post-grad years or a JUCO year just helps you be a little further along in the process.
It helps you develop a routine, a discipline, some structure. That's one of the things, coming from West Point, it's all about discipline, routine, and structure. I mean, there's no deviation, but it's no different really from an athletic perspective. Most certainly it's no different wherever you go, especially in an environment at the Division I level. I just want to share with people, this is one of the best baseball people in the country. We have week after week, we have coaches come on and we talk about their program. There's a reason why Northwestern wanted Jim Foster, and that's because he's a true leader. This is a school. Don't look at the cold. I had a parent just ask me, what's it like to play in Minnesota? Oh, by the way, they have a dome that they usually find their way to. But you play in Michigan, Rutgers, Penn State, Ohio State, now UCLA, USC. It is a baseball conference. Do not think any differently. And one of the things that I always try to get parents to understand is at the end, you're trading athletic ability, for academic excellence. And, I think we would be comfortable to say that Northwestern, top 5, top 10 school, university in the country. So, Jim, I want to thank you for your time tonight. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I know it's been your family, the transition, everything since July. So I know time is valuable. So I greatly appreciate your time. Are you going over to the ABCA or are you?
Yeah, I just got my hip done, Walter. Old catcher wear and tear. So if that's feeling good, I'll be there.
I can get cranky in the cold weather. I just want to let you know. Fill you in on that. So I want to let parents know that any questions that you have, just put them down and I'll make sure I forward them to Coach Foster. One of the things here at the Blue Book that we're trying to be able to develop is access. We say that all the time, but having to hear words directly from college coaches, it eliminates all the gray area. Somebody doesn't have to tell you what they're thinking. A guy like Coach Foster is telling you exactly what he's thinking. And so when you're in the Blue Book, you get access to Northwestern, all their camp information, everything. And oh, by the way, it's 100% free. Nothing to charge here. That's not what we're all about. So, Jimmy, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. I hope the move for the whole family over the next 6 months goes well. And if I'm down there, I'll give you a shout if you hop along Cassidy with your new hip.
Thanks, Walter. Happy holidays to everyone out there. And thanks again for having me on, Walter. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I got to get one of those lids. Another guy just said something about that. I said, that is a Northwestern baseball hat. And it is right now, it's got 2 thumbs up, me and the other dad. So good. I'll be looking for one of those bad boys.
We'll work on that.
All right, Captain. Thanks, Jimmy.
All right, Walter. Take care.